Hey everyone, Kevin here, back with another cybersecurity video. In this one, we will talk about boot camps. In my certification pursuits, I've done a variety of different study techniques. I've done self-study with a couple of books and practice tests. I've done online video courses. I've done 5-day boot camps. And there are certainly scenarios where all three of these options can lead to great success. In this video, I will focus on the latter, boot camps. I will define what a certification bootcamp is. I will talk about their worth and how to maximize investment made in these very focused and, quite frankly, very intense classroom offerings. Now, are they worth the high price tag? We will break it all down here, so stay tuned. But before we begin, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing, as your support will help me to continue to produce content which will help you get into the cybersecurity field. And with that out of the way, let's get after it. Want to get into the cybersecurity field. You've looked at some job postings and one has gotten your attention. You read the basic qualifications and discover that you can do most of what's being asked for. With that, you get excited, you get ready to apply for the posting when you notice something that brings you back down to earth. You notice that the job requires a certification that you don't have. What do? Well, it depends. You can contact the job recruiter and ask if the certification is required to start the position, or if you can obtain a certification after being hired on. If it's the former, then unfortunately, you need to move on. But for the purposes of this topic, we will state the latter. The recruiter tells you that for the right candidate, they will give him or her 6 months to obtain the certification after being hired. After hearing this, you are encouraged and decide to apply. And to your surprise, you're contacted for an interview. Absolutely crush the interview. The hiring manager contacts you the following week with your job offer. You enthusiastically accept, and you dive into the position with all of the vigor you can muster. You're knocking out your assignments, you're impressing both customers and management alike. You are well on your way. Then 3 months in, you're reminded about that certification requirement. You're reminded that if you don't get the certification in 3 more months, you will be let go. So now it's time to buckle down and study. You've been also researching boot camps because you want to get the certification quickly so you can get back to excelling at your job. And you look at the cost of these 1-week courses and you almost pass out. They want how much for this certification boot camp? The actual cert only costs a fraction of this. What should you do? That depends on you. Are you good at self-study? If so, you can invest in a book or two, give yourself a couple of months of intense self-study, followed by a week or two of taking practice tests. You take the real thing, and if you pass, great, you're good to go. And if you fail, you have enough time to study up on the areas that you're weakest in, schedule a retake and pass. No boot camp needed. Of course, if you fail, then you're out of the job that you've grown to really love. Is that really worth the risk? However, you've decided that you want some further assurances for passing the exam. So you look at boot camps again and you do your research on exactly what they are and when to schedule attendance for one. You discover that a boot camp should not be the sole source of your studies in most cases. Boot camps are meant to be used in concert with self-study. It is often the last phase of your studies before taking the exam. Depending on the offering, it could be as long as a week of dedicated, intense classroom studying, complete with interim tests with questions similar to the exam throughout. You eat, sleep, and breathe the exam. And most training providers offer high passing guarantee rates, and with good reason. If you follow the training plan as intended, you do your self-study every day, followed by practice tests and concluding with the boot camp and the actual exam, you should pass. However, if you just sign up for a boot camp without the foundational prep work described, chances for failure are considerably high. If you somehow pass, how much of that information learned will be retained? Not much in my view. You simply attended a cram session to pass the test, and after a couple of days, you wouldn't be able to answer or apply much of anything that you've learned. You think to yourself, the boot camp is worth it when I dedicate myself to prepping beforehand. I would dig a little deeper. From a financial standpoint, do I want to pay that high cost? Well, you may not have to. I mean, some employers will pay for the cost of the boot camp. My advice? Look to see if your company has a tuition assistance program and research the requirements. Some companies may require being employed for X amount of years before applying, while others may not have such a requirement. As long as your manager signs off on it, you can take advantage of the offering. Now, if that isn't an option, you can simply ask your manager if there's room in the budget for educational training. In my experience, I took the CISSP twice, and I failed the first time. So I went to my employer and asked if they would consider sponsoring me for a boot camp. He actually said yes. The company had an education budget that was rarely used, and because they viewed me as a high potential employee, they had absolutely no reservations in paying for the course. So I signed up for the boot camp, I took the week-long course, and I took the exam immediately afterwards and passed. Be bold enough to ask the question. You may be surprised at the result. So now that you've decided to do the boot camp, you're trying to decide whether to do it remotely versus in person. Which should you choose? Again, it depends. Do you do your best learning in a classroom setting or alone in front of a computer? Are you comfortable being in a classroom setting? I mean, as of this recording, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and this may affect your comfort level and the focus on the course. You make the decision to sign up for a week-long in-person course, understanding that you will need some vacation time to ensure that you're still paid during the boot camp. You attend the course and you pour your all into it. You listen to the lectures, you study the materials provided, and by the last day, you're firmly confident that you will pass. Now, do you pass? That depends on you. In this video, we discussed boot camps. We talked about the purpose of boot camps. We talked about if they're worth the cost, how to offset those costs, and how to prepare to best take advantage of the cost and the time involved. If you found this video to be helpful, give this video a like and consider subscribing. Your support will help this channel and the community I hope to create to grow. Also, please provide comments on the video and give constructive and honest feedback. I want to improve with each video. Thanks for watching. This is Kevin. Take care.